Everybody. I'm gonna be working on doing a little screen sharing here, trying to get some things together. Welcome to another broadcasting of In the Circle Ministries. Well, I'm your host, Mr. Rico Blakeney, where we take things from up under the microscope and look at them with a singular eye. The Bible says you put things up under singular eye, and your whole body be full of light. And once you done that, the light can show you what need to be done here. It's how we look at it, But if both your eyes are plural, then your body is full of darkness, and it says how great is that darkness. How lost are you? Not how evil, how terrible of a person you are, but how much of the darkness you're walking in. So here we like to be enlightened. We like to see everything up under the light, which is called the truth. And from there, we're able to make God-like decisions with all the right information. Have an overstanding of a thing instead of understanding. And today, we're going to have in our class, civics class today here. We'll be dealing with money, talking about money and just debt free. I'm not going to say debt free. I didn't mean to say debt free, but it's we live in a debt based society where everything is built off of debt and owing people. We don't use the old way of uh, handling ourselves with real money, or what they would call money, what's real money. We don't use gold and silver, platinum as a minimum of exchange in between a lot of people. Well, by law, we can't require people to pay us in those fractions in a sense. Um, so they use other things outside of bargaining. Now they have fiat money, negotiable instruments, debt notes, notes of indebtedness. But those are some of the things we may get into today. But we're going to start off with the basics of knowing that there really isn't any money because we don't use gold or silver, that there isn't any money. Everything is fake. Um, like whenever we are dealing with uh, the public, everything in the public is mimicking something from the private, and it's fictitious, it's fake, it's not the real McCoy. Um, it has a Godhead, it has a government, it has self government, it has rules, it has regulations, called citations and things of that nature. But anyway, so everything in the public and the way it conducts itself is just a mimic of what is done in the private. The Bible verse speaks about it as well. It says that everything that's being done down here on earth is basically a rehearsal of what's already taking place in heaven. So whenever they're doing a thing out there in the public, you have to understand it's already been mimicked from the private. And the public isn't uh, every man's domain. The private domain is where it should be at. Or from my aspect, where I desire to be at is in the private. Desire to stay private individual. Someone who's separate from the from the fictitiousness of the public. It's not being controlled and or controlled or how can I say this? Uh, Owned by the public no more. You live a private life and handle your private affairs and stay away from it. Everybody has a right to be separate from the government in a sense. So don't think that I'm bashing government or knocking that. Just telling you exactly what it is. So make a conscious decision if you decide to involve yourself with it, because the public is what we've been taught, even in our private, as is to all tell all truth, and it's not. It's like I told you before. It's fake. It's a copy of the original. Let's throw it back in here. We're gonna try to uh, basic money, financial development, understanding money and its properties, types, and uses. We may come at the debt. What is money? Definition, history. It's Investopedia. Investopedia. See who else has it real quick before we decide to take one. Wikipedia. Let's check out Wikipedia. Okay, what do we have here? Money. Money is an item or very, very fair. Swell this up because I don't have on my glasses. I want to be able to see a little better. Uh, Okay. Money is an item or verifiable record that is generally accepted in payment for goods and services for repayment of debts. Money is an item a verifiable record, saying that it verifies a record of something. It should be verifying an item or verifiable record that is generally accepted as payment. What type of record would be suffice as identified as generally accepted as payment? Because most times this is what we know as money. This paper, these coins, paper and coins. You have the ones, 5, 10s, 20s, 50s, $100 bills, pennies, nickel, dimes, quarters, 50-cent pieces, dollar pieces, things of that nature. So this is what we've all been taught and mostly what we know to be money, but they start off with money from a totally different understanding here. And like I said, we'll check out a couple more sites to see what they're and how they describe of monies. But they started off with saying this is an item, which is anything that can be described as an item. They say are a verifiable record. So uh, you have to look at the language on here to find out what's the verifiable record. If they're talking about this money, which there's a few things on here that are verifiable for record, but they're talking about something else and differently, and we'll find out here in a second. It said generally accepted as payment, and a payment is a voluntary tender of money or its equivalent or of things of value by one party to another in exchange for goods or services provided by them, or to fulfill a legal obligation, philanthropy, desire. I just butchered that word, but anyway, the party makes the payment and commonly called the payer, while the payee is the party. Can I swell this up anymore? Oh, we have a whole big thing over here. It's called the payer, while the payee is the party receives the payment. Payment can be effected in a number of ways of example. So we'll get back from the payments and get back over here. Goods and services. Goods are items that are usually tangible, such as pens or apples. Services are activities provided by other people, such as teachers or barbers. Taken together, it is the production, description, and consumption of goods and services, which underpins all economic activities and trade. Anyway, and repayments of debts, such as taxes. Did you know that taxes are a debt? Something else to talk about. We're not going to dig too deep in the public, but you can see that it says it plainly that services and repayment of debts. What type of debts? Such as taxes. And then say nothing about if you owe somebody else or if you borrowed money from the bank or if you borrowed money from an individual. If you have store credits, like I'm from the old school where you actually could go in the store and people would write your name down, price or whatever you want to get on credit, they'd write it on a piece of paper. You come back at your appointed time and hour and pay them back and they take it off. Most time they didn't charge interest because they knew that it was hard enough for a person to be having to get things on credit as it was. So there was no interest for it. You just paid it back when you did get it. And so that was a good thing with a clean tab, you can always get it back. I say, well, I come from a deep down South place down here where we looked out for each other like that, even if it was um hard time, it was hard times on everybody. So either way I go, that was the first place where I learned about credit at and knew anything about credit. From a very young age, watching my grandfather now have credits at the stores. One of my grandfathers worked in a factory in the mill, and grandmother on that side, my mom's side, on my dad's side, they were sharecroppers. They worked plenty of land and animals. livestock and deal with that stuff there, built houses. They did a lot of outside work. So store credit came in good a lot after paying all the bills and everything else. If you have a good week, bad week, however it may be, you still can afford to feed your family, get your gas to go around or wherever you needed to go without nobody hackling you or killing you over no credit. Definitely not locking you up because they know the best way to attain uh, the people's money was to work with the people in their situations, not to be so stringent on a either you got it or you don't. You can shop or you can't because you don't have it. You can always afford it if you can sign for it. That's another thing to understand too. How important your signature is. Your gimmick of sitting your signature is what really makes the money. Deeper down in the subject, so but just keep it in your subconscious. You see me do a lot of teaching on here. Sometimes I don't get too deep or too advanced because I love teaching. So like teaching from beginner state. I don't want to teach from uh I have time to teach from a higher overstanding. So now I'm teaching from understanding to help people get understanding so as they can grow in their understanding to have overstanding. But anyway, back to this thing called money. Uh, they say they offer service for debts. Debts is an obligation that requires one party, the debtor, to pay money borrowed or otherwise within from other parties, the creditor. From another party, the creditor. Debt may be owed by sovereign state or country, local government, company, or any individual. Commercially, debt is generally subject to contractual terms regarding, the term and condition of the contract. So I'm not gonna go up in there. Taxes is a compulsory. You can go over this, you find the site, do your own research, do your own homework as well. Whatever I give you or whatever anyone else give you, always put it under a microscope. Uh, may not have what they would say much knowledge of other people who's being involved in it, but you'll be just like everybody else that got involved with it. They didn't have as much experience that you would have neither. So get out here and learn these things from up under microscope, from up under your truth, and bring them to a singular eye and understand them from what you can understand them from and pray for the overstanding. Looking what's inside thyself for the overstanding. Study and show thyself approved. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read through this, but all these little blue marks on my screen are places you can do to pull up more. These are other things you need to study and to understand. Some of them you already know, but understand them and from what they're telling you instead of what you were taught and just told. A lot of time we were told that the money was what you use to pay your bills with this, that. But okay, we'll back up here. In a particular country or so I guess you say economic contents, the primary function which distinguish monies or medium of exchange. Something you have to know and understand. This is one of the biggest thing that they say money is used for. That it's just used for a minimum of exchange, and then it's a certain item or whatever. In economics, a minimum of exchange is any item that is widely acceptable in exchange for goods and services. And modern economics, it's most commonly used medium of exchange is currency. Learn what currency is, the current, how currency flows down the river banks of the river. Now your money is channeled through the banks and it flows through that way. Anyway, money is electrical. Uh, Everything is thought flows. The way everything flows, it does that. So it's just like currency, it can't be destroyed. It don't be used and moved, and it can't be created or destroyed. So anyway, minimum exchange, minimum exchange. That's what that says there. Most forms of money are categorized as medium of exchange, including commodity money and represent. Okay, so what other kind of money they're talking about? Cut it out. Oh, they don't want me on the site. That's crazy. Get back up here, link your link, pull that back up. There's different type. The economics. A minimum of exchange in any item that is widely accepted in exchange for goods and services in modern economics. The most commonly used medium of exchange is currency. Currency is the stabilizing of money in any form. Most forms of money are categorized in mediums of exchange, including commodity money, representative money, cryptocurrency, and most commonly fiat money. Fiat money is a type of currency. Now, I don't know why they didn't show you the dollar bill here or negotiable instrument. The type of currency that is not backed by a commodity. Fiat money. I want you to remember that. Fiat money is a type of currency that is not backed by a commodity such as gold or silver. There's another thing we were taught in school, that all our gold and silver was turned in 1933 and it was put into the Pentagon. Basically, taken from all these banks and put into the Pentagon, and it is what backs the American dollar, what gives the American dollar so much power, um, and that's what it's backed by. One time in history when you could actually take your gold or silver note, or you could take your actually Federal Reserve note and turn it into the bank and get those certificates, or your Federal Reserve notes, and take them to the bank and actually get it swapped out for gold. So that's where it came in at beforehand. Whenever the gold miners started off, and I believe it went deeper than the gold miner. There's people that still were dealing with gold and silver. And so when the banks came out, they figured out a way to take the people's gold and silver, because this was their way of having real money. This is how people dealt with things. You wanted something that I had, and I had something that you wanted, and you had something that I wanted, or if you did not, then you could always have something that I would want, or I could always have something that you would want, that would give us a minimum of exchange. A medium of exchange is like, um, okay, I got a mule, and you've got 5 pounds of gold. Uh, I only want 1 pound of gold for this mule. We can swap it out. Okay, that say on a normal basis, I or say I got another mule, and this mule I want 4 pounds of barley, or and 2 pounds of wheat. So we have a minimum exchange. If someone wants this meal, this is what they can give me for it. Or, what I mean, we can bargain things out. A lot of times the gold and silver is what we could bargain out between each other for these animals, for the wheat and barley. Something else we can exchange for it, so if we can go out and actually go spend the gold and silver to buy other things, for as maybe a car. Back in those days, they had cars, certain type of clothing. There was certain interaction, because they had already had the World Economics Trade, um, a commercial world, or the world of commerce. Um, it's like in history, you have all these other great places called the marketplaces, where they brought the ships in. Like Roman had a great place for commercial thing now that we call society these days, where you can go out and spend your money in the public. That type of atmosphere has always been around. That's good for the economically. In the world of commerce, I think that's what they call it, commerce, where you deal and handle with things like that. So the gold and silver is what most people use, and was identified as money before we got to this fiat money. But the thing that was told us was that the fiat money was backed by gold and silver. But it tells you here that it's a type of currency that is not backed by a commodity. I have to do a little bit of homework myself to find out, when did this actually change, or when did it go into, or did it ever go into, or was that just something else that I was taught, that all our money is still backed by the gold and silver, which is no longer independent neither. You need to know that as well. Okay, so that's what fiat money is. This is what I'm talking about, fake. You have to look up the word fiat and find out what the word fiat is. But it has its own thing. Man would say fictitious. Okay, a unit of account. This is where we was at a medium of exchange. A unit of account, a store of value of something, a standard of deferred payment. Money was historically and in emergent market phenomenon that possessed intrinsic value as a commodity. Nearly all contemporary money systems are based on unbacked fiat money. Now it is, without use value. It really is consequently derived by social conventions having been declared by a government or a regulator until entity to be legal tender. That's another thing, legal tender. Now, money was supposed to be used for a minimum exchange or legal tender. That is, it must be accepted as a form of payment within the boundaries of the country or all debts, public and private, in case of the United States dollar. Okay, so we'll run across this right here, the United States dollar. This one right here, the United States dollar is the official currency of the United States and several other countries. The Coins Acts in 1792 introduced the U.S. dollar as par with the Spanish silver dollar. See, that a silver dollar. Trying to say our dollar. Our dollar was, or the American dollar, U.S. The U.S. dollar was supposed to be backed by gold, not silver, backed by gold only. And it's supposed to be an equivalent of the Spanish dollar, which was silver. Divide it into 100 cents and authorize the mints of coins, denomination in dollars and cents. So, but whenever you hear about the dollar or the Federal Reserve note, the Federal Reserve note, uh, and on one of our other videos I did about the truth about HER 192, it talks about the government taking over and being responsible for all debts, public and private. Why? Because of the U.S. dollar. So you have to go watch that video to find out more about that. And legal tender is another word you'll learn about here. So let's go see what legal tender is the form of money that courts or laws are required to recognize as satisfactory payments for any monetary debt. Each jurisdiction determines what is legal tender, but essentially it is everything which, when offered, tendered, and payment of a debt extinguishes the debt. Look at that a little deeper. And the payment to extinguish the debt, there is no obligation on the creator to accept the tender payment, but the act of tendering the payment is legal tender, discharges the debt. Some jurisdictions allow contract laws to overrule the statutes of legal tender, allowing, for example, merchants to specify that they will not accept cash payments. So this is what I told you earlier. They tell you that they will not accept cash payments. Coins and banknotes are usually defined as legal tender in many countries, but personal checkways, credit cards, and similar non-cash methods of payments are usually not. Some jurisdictions may include a specific foreign currency as legal tender at times. There's exclusive legal tender or currency with its domestic currency. Okay, okay. But it's kind of funny up here. Some jurisdictions allow contract law to overrule the state and legal tender, allowing, for example, merchants to specify that they will not, this is a law that they will not accept cash. You can find this on, um, it's crazy because you find it on your mortgage and a lot of your other bills, and they'll tell you to send a check or money order. Send in your check or money. Do not send cash through the mail. They cannot accept cash. Gold. If I had mine, I'll pull it up. But you can find one and probably pull up an example of a mortgage note, and you'll see in the mortgage note when they go talking about the right that the at the time the borrower has for repayment, and it tells you about the legal way they can desire the monies from you. Okay, so that was what we found here, Mr. Winky Link. Uh, I got Investopedia. What is money? Money is an item of medium of exchange that is accepted by people for the payment of goods and services as well as the repayment of loans. Money makes the world go round. Economics rely on money to facilitate transactions and to power financial growth. Typically, it is economics, economists who define money, where it comes from, and what it is worth. Here are the uh, multifaceted characteristics of money. Money is a minimum of exchange. It allows people and businesses to attain what they need to live and thrive. Bartering, this is another thing. Bartering was one way that people exchanged goods for other goods before money was created. Before this fiat money was created, they're not talking about before money even existed or was created in someone's mind, because it's always been a form of money. There's always been a form of medium of exchange. Without bartering, there is no minimum of exchange. So still the basics of everything is bartering. Okay, someone say if I know how to work on cars, I can work on this person's car and tell them that, okay, I'm gonna need 15 heads of lettuce, 14 cucumbers, so I don't eat meat. Um, I'm gonna need a lot of carrots and these natures. And we have just bartered for the minimum of exchange. Are you going to give me this and I'm going to give you that? You know, you buy your car parts or you purchase your, if you have your car parts, however it may be, I would switch those car parts out for you from my skill set. So there is no transaction. There is no taxation on that for the bargaining of between two individuals. And just for what we use for a minimum of exchange. It only becomes a taxation whenever you take that minimum exchange and it becomes legal tender, when it becomes fiat cash, when it becomes the American dollar, when it becomes digital currency, something that belongs and that is controlled by the government. Not the ones in between the private people and between the individual, but the things that is accepted. And so if everyone's accepting the dollar and there's no in that currency, you're accepting the taxes, because this money is only made and this money was only created to pay the debt, such as taxes, from what we read earlier. We're going to leave that there for you to plunder on. But that's what it was created for, this fiat money. They're not talking about the other thing. Because even with that, if I would ask them, say, okay, now look, do you have any gold? Yes, I have gold. I have 400 ounces of gold. Well, great. I'm going to charge you a quarter of 1 ounce, or not charge for a quarter of 1 ounce of gold. I'll swap those parts out for you. We just bargained. Cool. Change, no taxes, nothing, no problems to be acquired, nothing happened. Anyway, I said bargaining was one way that people exchanged goods for other goods before money was created. Careful what they tell you. Like gold and other precious metal, money was worth because money has worth because for most people it represented something valuable. Gold, if we were to go back to the gold standard, they say this is what they killed Gaddafi for too, because Gaddafi was going to take his country and he was cutting everybody basically out of the big deal that they all been running up under, the umbrella of whatever they've been running up under. We're going to leave that there. But he was going to go back to the gold standard. They was not going to use the American dollar or any other foreign currency in their country. They were going to only use gold and silver that they pulled from their own land to deal with each other and everything else. And they say that was the real reason why he was killed. And they're trying to keep the dollar and the fiat dollar and all these other fiat currency, or they're always at war about this thing. They may not tell us that, but that's what they're doing. Because this is where the system gets its power at. The Bible says where one treasure is, and one where one heart is. So understand the system and its treasure and where its heart is at. Anyway, fiat money is government issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity, but by the stability of the ensuing government. I'm gonna read this last one and I come back to that. Above all, money is a unit of account. A unit of account, a socially accepted standard unit with which things are priced. So they're saying that we're going to find out how much $20 is. Everybody has to learn how to count money, find out how many quarters it takes to make a dollar in order to find out how many dollars it takes to get to 20, yada, yada, yada. The big thing about it is It's all hogwash. The realization I had to come out to was the same thing that I came out 3 years ago when I first started to endeavor down this private lifestyle. Fiat money is government issued currency that is not backed by a thing. See, it ain't backed by shit. It ain't backed by a physical commodity, but by the stability of the ensuing government, of the government still telling us that this money is still good and still accepting, it's still valued, that they still control it. But say if everybody quit using the American dollar, everybody quit using that and go back to bargaining or using gold and silver, probably start another civil war, to be honest. But if we was able to do this in the private, we were able to handle ourselves in a private manner, and then we should better open our eyes to a lot of things that comes out with that G word and the things that come around every 4 years, or depending on what level you on, come around every 1 or 2 years. And these so-called representatives, they're fiat representatives. They, from my opinion, uh, if anyone stands up under the fiat system and goes out and give their life and fight, come back home, they should have the same benefit as those representatives. They should have free life insurance, healthcare insurance. They should have a place already paid for, even if these people don't have, they should have a check coming annually, if not monthly. So everyone that goes out and fight for the name should have that. Even the people that's at home not fighting, that they're fighting for, should have the same damn thing. We should have free healthcare. Should have that all across the board. Because they're gonna live a life better than the life that we live. Then how can they properly represent us? They should have to have the same standard of life as us. And then once you're out of office, that's the case. You're back to the streets just like everyone else. Man, you better get you a job, hope a degree, or have an investment or something else. But you ain't got long to be up there. But do your part. That's something you decide to participate in. Or you felt that that's what you were created to do. But anyway, fiat money and its only power is in the people and the people's acceptance of it. Okay, then got down here, it does a little different and gives a little another breakdown for the medium of exchange for money. Before the development of a minimum of exchange, that is, money, people would barter to attain the goods and services they needed. Two individuals, each possessing some goods the other wanted, would enter into an agreement to trade. That's what I was talking about earlier. We could trade some things out, trade out my time for your thing and my energy and my labor, which is mine. I cannot be taxed for. That's go read the books. They tell you in the IRS publications and the rules. Everything we do is a voluntary sense. And then once we use that fiat money, I get paid in that fiat money, then we're required to pay the tax and the debt on that money. So that money costs somebody, keep it circulating, crazy as it sounds. Okay. Early forms of bartering, however, do not provide the transferable transferability and the divisibility that makes trading efficient. For instance, if someone has cows but needs bananas, they must find someone who not only has bananas but also desires for meat. This is what the marketplace was good for. That's why you get all your marketing at the marketplace and you get all these other things. And for some other people that travel, might have been like, okay, let me get finished with this and I'll get back in there. I apologize. Or what if the individual finds someone who has the need for meat but no bananas and can only offer potatoes to get meat? That person must find someone who has bananas and wants potatoes, and so on. The lack of transferability of bartering for goods is tiring. See how they make that sound so sad and so bad. And the man, look, if you go out here and you need these bananas, you come across the first person, he only got meat. He don't even want what you got. Then you go across the second person, and he ain't got no bananas. He got potatoes, and and you ain't got what he want. And they say this could be hard and tiresome. No, this is what the marketplace was for. This is where people had the places they would meet up at. You hear about it. As far I'm gonna go back to this for the Bible, like places where Paul was going to, and you were hearing the New Testament places where Paul was doing a lot of the public and public speaking and preaching in the different places. He was going to places that had great when they come off the ship, come to the ports, and it's a good marketplace where a bunch of people, different nationalities would come to. And this what they would do there, bartering it. Today we call it shopping. It would be called bartering. So this is what they did all their bartering at there. Okay, say that some and gold and silver came into play at these places too, because they would accept gold and silver. Say if they didn't have the bananas, or if they had the bananas and I didn't have what they wanted, he didn't want the wheat that I had, and I'm in need of bananas. He don't want no wheat. That's cool. I have some silver or gold I could trade out with. Or because I'm traveling, I only need these things here, and I'm traveling too far. I can't carry my wheat and my barley. Now, so this, if you want to think about where it become tiresome at, it's whenever you want to bring whatever you might have wanted or didn't want to. If you hit hard times, so you don't know what you have that's of value to someone else out there. That there was no marketplace. So the marketplace created uh, the perfect place for the barterer. This is where it took out that aggravation of that. And the gold and silver helped out as well. So, but they make it sound like it was terrible, but that's basically what we have the right to do now. If you can overstand the thing that when you do those things, there's no taxation because it's all things done with private individual and their own private goods, and everyone has their private right to do what they want to and to be secure in their private and in their persons and their personal effects. So you can do all that stuff without using the fiat money. And that's why they want you to be discouraged about that. So you got to watch the little Jedi mind tricks that they have here as well. So the back down, the lack of transferable or borrowing for goods is tiring, confusing, and inefficient. But what is not where the problem ends, but that is not where the problem ends. Even if the person finds someone with whom to trade meat for bananas, they may not consider a bunch of bananas to be worth a whole cow. Such a trade requires coming to an agreement and devising a way to determine how much bananas are worth certain parts of the cow. Commodity. Money solves these problems. Commodity. Money is a type of good that functions as currency. In the 17th and 18th century, for example, American colonists used beaver pelts and dried corn in transactions. Possessing generally accepted values, these commodities were used to buy and sell other things. The commodities used for trade and certain characteristics. They were widely desired and before valuable, but they were also durable, portable, and easy stored. Another more advanced example of commodity money is a precious metal such as gold. For centuries, gold was used to back paper currency up until the 1970s. For centuries, gold was used to back paper currency. You remember when we talked about the fiat money? It used to be back. So here's my answer. You got to do too much homework. Another more advanced example of commodity money is precious metals such as gold. For centuries, gold was used to back paper currency up until the 1970s. Natural resources, gold. So that's another place you can go look at. I don't want to do it for time's sake now. Um, so in the case, so they were saying that in the case of the U.S. dollar, for example, this meant that foreign governments were able to make the dollars and exchange them at the specific rate of gold with the U.S. Federal Reserve. What interests is that What's interesting is that unlike the beaver pelts and the dried corn, which can be used for clothing and food respectively, gold is precious purely because people want it. It is not necessarily useful. You can't eat gold or it won't keep you warm at night. See how they make gold sound so bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And they ain't saying nothing about that dollar bill and that paper money. They ain't saying nothing about it. But anyway, but the majority of people think it's beautiful. And they know others think it is beautiful. So gold is something that has worth. Gold therefore serves as a physical token of wealth based on people's perspective. So no, this is what you will have a constant, everyone accepting gold, everyone accepting silver. Everybody ain't accepting the damn dollar, the euro, or the yen. And everybody ain't accepted that. Everybody except gold and silver, wherever you at on this, they call God green earth. So you have real purchasing power with gold than you have over anything else and over the beavers and the hides and all this other stuff. The relationship between money and gold provides insight into how money gains its value as representation of something valuable. Impressions create everything. The second type of money is fiat money. We got fiat money, which does not require banking by a physical commodity. Backing by a physical commodity. They took it out in the 70s because before fiat money was backed by the gold and silver until the 70s, what they said above there. So that's when they took that away. Now the money ain't worth shit for real. It ain't worth the paper it was printed on. The guy sang in the song, it ain't worth the money it was printed on. The leaves or the plant it was printed on. Fiat money, my bad. The second type of money is fiat money, which does not require backing by a physical commodity. Instead, the value of fiat currency is set by supply and demand and people's faith in its worth. That is crazy. I'm gonna come back and read this one here too. Demand it and people's faith in its worth. Fiat money developed because gold was a scarce resource and rapidly growing economic going couldn't always find enough to back their currency supply requirements. For a booming economic, the need for gold to give money value is extremely efficient, especially when its value is really increased by the people's perception. I'm going to come right back to that. Just give me 1 second, my good people. Sorry about that. I'm back. Fiat, we're going to start back here. Fiat money becomes the token of people's perception of worth. Oh, now what we are talking about earlier that I said I want to come back to. And second type of money is fiat money, which requires requirement backing up the physical commodity instead of. It is set by supply and demand and people's faith in its worth. So the fiat money, which isn't backed by gold or currency anymore, when they were talking about it was in the other on the other side, it was saying something about the governmenting party that was like backing it. And so how is it back now? The value of the fiat currency is set by supply and demand and people's faith in its worth. It speaks about how I think it's in the Constitution as well about the backed by the faith and credit of the people. The faith in it from the people gives it its credibility. The faith and the credit of the people also will be talking about your credit worthiness and you being made into commodity and you being the new slave or being the chatter paper or the cattle. Now that you are a commodity, the faith and the credit that they're talking about is your work ethic. After the age of 18 on up, 18 to like they got it between the age of 18 and retirement age. Still the span up in between there, they depending on what kind of family you come from, the background you come from, the neighborhoods you stay in, what part of town you stay in, economically, how the bigger picture, how they pick that and view that. Like your birthday with somebody born in Chicago, uh, in some rough neighborhoods and some bad neighborhoods. I'm not picking on nobody from Chicago or about it, whatever. Just saying, hey, you have some rough neighborhoods up there. Like we have rough neighborhoods down here as well. Just using that on a bigger scale. Everybody's not down here from my little town called Lancaster, just like Chicago. So you're gonna have poverty and it can be looked at as poor, bad neighborhoods and the value of that. So that person that's going over there, you're gonna be categorized to make so much money in a lifetime. Only few of those make it up out of that economic situation and go to make more and more money. And that more and more money is what's going to be poured and used into the system. And it's going to be built off your faith and your credit or your faith and your ability to give it credit to go out here and work and to attain it and to get it and use it and put it back into the economy, yada, yada, yada. So it depends on that how sometimes they use to govern our economic standing from where you're born at, off your birth certificate, social security number, so on, so on. So the faith and the credit of the people have already been given away to uh, the debtors. I mean, to the making America the debtors, and they have to pay someone. There's a payer that they have to be, and the payee. And with the payee, as the system, as the government was backing its fiat money, is the actual labor of the people. Anyway, so if I was saying earlier, we take our faith and we quit using the American dollar, go back to gold and silver, we could set a new standard here ourselves without the government consent. So what will happen, I believe, is that the government will become. I don't think they're going to go to war with it. They're going to try to. They will try to figure out a way to come back to it or to monetize off of it. They allow them to stay a way to tax it. In other words, they'll find out, try to figure out a way to tax it, just like they did with the alcohol. You know, they had a big prohibition and banned the alcohol, banned the liquor, so they could come out and sell the liquor up under their taxation, their rule, and their federal government, and making it legal. And how you have this big ass battle about something that's very illegal. But it's taxation what they were fighting over. Guys not paying taxes on that liquor and the hoops they were selling and making. Nevertheless, let's come back down here. We'll start back with this fiat money here, and fiat money becomes the token of people's perspective of worth, the basis for which money is created. An economic that is growing is apparently succeeding in producing other things that are valuable to itself and of the economy. The stronger the economic, the stronger the money it will be perceived and sought after. The vice versa, and vice versa. However, people's perspective must be supported by the economic that can produce the products and services that people want. For example, in 1971, the US dollar was taken off the gold standard. You hear that? It was decreed in 1933 about it in the Emergency Act, which I haven't seen that we've been uplifted out of. The first great recession. And whenever Roosevelt declared the state of emergency, I don't think it ever been lifted. I haven't found anywhere that it has. You can leave comments in the video later and help me out and let me search it, find it out if you have proof of it or information leading to it. Okay, that the dollar was taken off of the gold standard. The dollar was no longer redeemable in gold. So you couldn't go back to the bank and take the dollar no more and go in there and get gold for it. And the price of gold was no longer fixed by any dollar amount. So it was not fixed by any dollar amount. This meant that it was now possible to create more paper money than there was gold to back it. They was able to create more fake ass money with nothing to back it, no more than the people saying, "Hey, let's change this instead of gold. Let's swap this out, and we can use this as a minimum exchange. Let's use this Federal Reserve note. It ain't gotta be backed by gold anymore. Let's continue to use this Federal Reserve note." Hmm. This meant that it was no longer possible to create more paper money than there was gold to back it. The health of the U.S. economic backed the dollar value. If the economic stalls, the value of the U.S. dollar will drop, both domestically through inflation and internationally through current exchange rates. The explosion of the U.S. economy would plunge the world into a financial dark age. So many other countries and entities are working tirelessly to ensure that never happens. Today, the value of money, not just the dollar, but most currencies, is decided purely in its purchasing power, as dictated by inflation. That is why simply printing new money will not create wealth for a country. Money is created by a kind of perpetual interactions between the real tangible things or desires for them and other abstract faith in what has value. Money is valuable because we want it, but we want it only because it can get us desired products or services. So with gold and silver. So even with the gold and silver, there would be enough in circulation for everyone to have it, just like this paper fiat money. So don't let them fool you. Whenever you got places just covered There's people over there, and I'm gonna say in Iran, maybe Iran, the desert area, sheiks and stuff got palaces laced with gold. Man, that gold is still being pulled out of the earth. It's getting pulled out of the earth from an old gold mine, not even 30 miles from my location here now. They're pulling it out not in chunks, but they're pulling out using chemical to extract the gold. And they're making billions of dollars a damn day pulling gold out of the earth. So no, 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 no. It still has its value. This is just one of the biggest Jedi magic tricks. So long as you're a slave, you're gonna want all these other things. You're gonna desire these other things. Not saying that the fiat money or the currency isn't what moving now and gets you the things that you want and have them. So gold and silver is still precious. I'm just telling you that. But right now, even with that, if you don't use it, this is just how the system is built and how it's created now and how it operates. Uh, you can't go out there and buy anything across the counter with gold and silver, not if you wanted to. You know, it's illegal for them to accept it. Which is gold is always worth its weight. That's what's crazy about gold is always worth its weight and more. So you can always bag more fiat. You should be able to bag more fiat money with the gold that you have by the fluctuation in inflation. Anyway, uh, and how is money measured? Active money, how money is created, the history of American money, currency wars, Massachusetts money, aftermath of revolutions. This is stuff I want you to come back later on and read too, because this is good stuff. I'm not gonna put it all into this video. The aftermath of the Civil War. The bottom line, and what you're gonna find out, a lot of stuff that we do talk about in the private, you can read what they have in the public, and what we do in the private is help. We'll show you things in the private that also just open your eyes up to the stuff that you see in the public, and you can be able to see things for what they are. Unlike lawyers, we won't hide the keys from you at Inner Circle Ministries. Whenever you donate or you want to barter for the private membership access, or donating to it, we dig deep into this stuff and we get down to the nitty gritty about it and have eye opening stuff. This is stuff that we're teaching our kids in the late part, but your kids should know a lot of this stuff before the age of accountability. They should know about the monies, where it coming from, credits, how it works. They should know about the Constitution as well. Uh, and there's a lot of other things they should know naturally about their bodies and about life and about nature and all these other things. They need to know all these things before the age of accountability. 12 or 13, they're going to be entering into age of accountability on a deeper level, but dealing with stuff that's going to be happening inside of their little bodies and their minds, which is such as the kingdom of heaven. But we're going to leave that there as well. Um, this is stuff we teach ours so that they can have this and understand it and know what the elite or those that do have or that are out here or the masters have. So we say like a boss. That's what we're phrased that you want to be boss like, you need to know what the bosses are doing in order to stay a boss and become a boss. You can't have slave mentality, and the only thing the slave is going to inherit is more slave ship. It's the son of the master who's going to inherit the slave. So where's your mentality? Get your mentality right. So that's what we talked about here today. Like I said, I'll probably go back and do some more research and reading on this as well, which I have already started on it. But these are the things that I'm gonna quit sharing this screen now. These are the things that you need to know and understand about money, currency, and the things that you deal with on a day to day. And then, as you're in the private, know how to move and operate as when you're out here in the public. We believe in asset protections. That's what we teach here. We also offer here how to be able to free yourself from the tyranny of the straw man and create your own man as being God in your likeness and image, and allow it to go forward and have power and dominion. That's what you trust and everything else as well. So you're going to send your son out, or you're going to send your trust out, and you're going to make sure that uh, it's not going to come back to you void, and it'll do and accomplish everything it was set out to do. But they come with a proper overstanding, and that's what we offer here. So you may catch me on YouTube, TikTok, a couple other places. I don't do Instagram. Um, But like I said, we have private access into the Inner Circle Ministry. You can contact us now, for now, through in the circle at Gmail, INTHECIRKLE at gmail.com, and ask us about or inquire about the membership, or how to access it, or to find out more about it, consultations as well, or like, subscribe, and come into the videos that I do upload on Facebook or whatever, and we'll be able to comment and get back to you that way as well. So for now, I want to thank you for coming out and joining the civic class today. Like I said, this is just a brief of what we do, or just a template of a tidbit of what we discuss and deal with in the private, and learn about more in the private, and grow into an overstanding. From having an overstanding, then can you use whatever you have properly? From an understanding, can it use you properly? And you become a tutor until it becomes your tutor, until you're able to get the overstanding of it. So you're going to be under a thing. You're going to be enslaved to a thing until you have the correct overstanding. And that's what we pray for here, for ourselves and for you as well. So as love, peace, and prosperity may be hand in hand and continuously engulf you in all that you do in your life. So for now, we'd like to thank you. Uh, May you guys go out and be great. Know that you are the God that was created, and you are a God that created everything that you see. Know that there is a consciousness inside of you that knows the expected end that it has for you, plans for you to prosper, plans to bring you to expected end, and not to harm you at all. So with that being said, you guys have a great, great day.